In this video, we're talking about the order of operations, which is the order that we solve problems in when they have more than one operation. An operation is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Those are all operations. So if we have a problem that has multiple operations, we need to do it in the correct order. And the correct order to solve these problems in goes like this. Parentheses and brackets. We solve those first. Then we take care of any exponents. Exponents are when you have a number like 5, then it's that little, if there's a little number up here, that means to the second power. And what this means is 5 times 5. That number tells us how many there are of the base number. The exponent tells us how many there are of the base number. The base number is 5. The exponent tells us there are 2, and they're always multiplying. So it's 5 times 5. But if the exponent was 4 instead of 2, then that would tell us there are 4 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4. We multiply all 4. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. And then we would have to multiply 25 times 25. But that's what exponents are. Oh, sorry, I should jump back and explain. Parentheses and brackets are when you have, parentheses are these around a problem. Brackets look like this. Okay. And when we solve the parentheses, we go from the inside to the outside. So we do parentheses and brackets, then we do our exponents, then we multiply or divide whichever one comes first in the problem. And we'll talk about that in just a second. And then the last step is to add or subtract whichever one comes first when we go from the left to the right. Okay, so that's the order. Parentheses, brackets come first, then we take care of exponents, then we multiply or divide whichever comes first, then add or subtract. So let's just look at a very basic problem. And I'm going to rewrite those steps off to the side. We do parentheses first, which look like this, or like this. Oh, got cut off a little bit. Slide it over a little bit more. Parentheses, and they look like that. Or they can look like that. There we go. Parentheses, exponents, which looks like this. 4 to the second power. So parentheses, exponents, and then multiply or divide whichever one comes first, because we go from the left to the right. And then the last step is to add or subtract whichever comes first, going left to right. And that will make a lot more sense once we start solving a problem, going from the left to the right. So if I had this problem, let's say it was 6 divided by 13 plus 7. I'm going to put a bracket around this. 13 plus 7 minus 10. Okay, that's kind of a lot. No, not minus 10. Let's do minus 17. Okay. It's kind of a lot, but it's a good place to start. Our first step, we work with the parentheses and we go from the inside to the outside. So I should really redraw this. I'm going to draw parentheses and put brackets around it. We've got to start with the parentheses that are in the most inside, so ignore every other bit of the problem. All I'm going to do is solve this part right here. 13 plus 7 is 20. Now, this is the only part of the problem I have done, so I'm just going to cross it out. I have to rewrite the rest of the problem exactly how it is. So I still have a minus 17. I still have this bracket. I didn't do anything with that bracket. And I still have a dividing symbol and a 6. Now, I'm not finished with my parentheses level because I still have these brackets, so that's the next step that I have to do. 20 minus 17. 20 minus 17 is 3, so I've done this, but I still have this. Now, I'm totally finished with my parentheses, so I can move on to my exponents, but there are none in this problem. So now I move to this step, multiplying or dividing, whichever comes first. And in this problem, there's only a division problem left, 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So all of that equals 2. Let's do another one. Kind of putting a lot in this one too, but that's okay. So I don't just get to start solving going left to right at the beginning. Nope, I have to do my parentheses first. Here are my parentheses, 5 plus 2, so I'm going to do that first. 5 plus 2 equals 7. Now I could just erase it and write it in there, but when you do a problem on the whiteboard and you can just erase it and write it in, it works really well. But when you're on a piece of paper and you're constantly erasing and writing in and then erasing some more, it just makes your work get really, really messy and hard to keep track of. So I like to just rewrite the problem below it. So 5 plus 2 is 7. I'm going to rewrite the rest of the problem around it. I haven't done anything with my times 10. I have a plus sign, a 2, dividing sign, and an 8. Now I've finished my parentheses, I move on to my exponents. I don't see any exponents in this problem, so I'm just going to move on to my multiplying or dividing, whichever comes first when we go from the left to the right. So I need to start on the left side of my problem and go this way, and I have a dividing problem here and a multiplication problem here. But because the dividing problem comes first when I go from the left to the right, that's what I do first. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now I have to rewrite everything else that I haven't used. So I still have a plus 7 times 10. Now I cannot move to this step yet because I still have some multiplication that I need to do. And multiplication always comes before adding or subtracting. So I have to do this step. 7 times 10 is 70. And now I rewrite the rest of everything that's left. All I have left is 4 plus 70, which is 74. All right, I'm going to leave these steps off to the side. I'm going to put a problem up. I want you to try it so that you can see how you're doing. So let's say we have 5 to the second power plus 3 times 2. No, I'm going to change that. 10 divided by 2 times 6. Okay. So I start my, go ahead, click pause, solve this problem, and then click play when you're ready to see how you're doing. All right, now I'm looking at my order. I do parentheses first. There are none. So I just get to skip the parentheses step and move on to exponents. Now I do have exponents in this problem, so I'm going to take care of this. That 5 to the second power tells me that I have 2 of the base number. So I have 2 5s, 5, and a 5, and we always multiply them when they're exponents. 5 times 5 is 25. Now I rewrite the rest of my problem around it. And I am done with my exponents, so I move on to multiplying or dividing, whichever comes first. So I have 10 divided by 2, and I have 2 times 6. But because the dividing comes first, I need to do that first. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Rewrite the rest of my problem. Now I still have that multiplication to take care of, so I have to do that. 5 times 6 is 30. Rewrite the rest of my problem. Now I'm done with my multiplying or dividing. I move on to my adding or subtracting. 25 plus 30 is 55. So all of that equals 55. Okay, let's do one more problem. Okay, that's a long problem, but we'll do just fine. So we start with looking at our parentheses, and I work from the inside going out. So I need to take care of this part first. 10 plus 2 equals 12. Now I rewrite the rest of the problem around it. And I still have some brackets, so I need to take care of those. 7 plus 12 is 19. Now I'm finished with my parentheses, so I can move on to my exponents. And I don't have any in this problem, so now I move on to multiplying or dividing, whichever comes first. I only have multiplying in this problem, so I need to do 5 times 19, so I'm just going to set it up over here. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 more is 9. So my answer is 95. And then I rewrite the rest of the problem next to it, for what I haven't used yet. And I'm left with 95 minus 8. And I can now just subtract 95 minus 8 equals 87. Good luck solving your problems using the order of operations. Let me know if you have any questions.